the Mishnah Torah shel Rambam. So too regarding to the Mishnah Torah of the Rambam, Shebekab is the Torah Shebekol. She gathers the whole Torah Shebekol. Shesiyum shel Sefer. Vat Chala say. There's kasher b'neim v'shayochim zelazeh. The end of the Sefer and the beginning have a connection one to another. So the Rebbe says in the order over here, Al derech zeh hu gam benegel l'chol Sefer shebiyad as Yud al dasfar in the Mishnah Torah. The truth is told. The same thing is true also in regard to every one of the 14 svarim of the Mishnah Torah. Shat Chalasiv v'siyumei holding order 4. Shayochim zelazeh. The beginning and end of every Sefer have a connection to each other. Kamei b'shas, just like in Gemara. Shegam as chalos v'siyum shel kol masechta sheyachim zelazeh. The beginning and end of every masechta has a connection to each other. Al sheikra shechas beifim golish al atchol v'asiyum hu b'chlol sashas b'chlol sefer yad. But the main connection in a revealed way, much more revealed, is by the beginning and end of the whole Rambam. The whole Shas. Yeah.
B'derech klal sagt man that jede masechta, the next one, either
that's the one also, yeah, it's also true. Why he was, but Alma macht Adran, the Rebbe Talmud macht Adran in the beginning and end of the Masechta. I don't know if it's Rebbe Zachidish. She brings here from the Maral and the Shalom.
No, that every Gemara, the end of the Gemara has a connection to the beginning of the same Gemara.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Zachidish,
it's a Chish from the Rebbe. I don't know. The Rebbe Talmud gets on this. I think it's other people also did it. I think. I don't know clearly. Goes back to Chassidus Kabbalah. We find that the in of not seifon betchiloson b'seifon should be shtalshus elums, which is true in the shtalshus of the worlds. All the inyanim and elums come from Teira. So this in and the elums have not seifon betchiloson b'seifon. It comes from Teira. So just like we find in Elam, that Chilos and Besefim is connected, the highest levels is connected with the lowest of levels. We find also the beginning and end of every world is connected. Malchus and Chochmah. What's the Maisa with Chochmah? Malchus want to make a shidduch. You know the story. What's the Maisa? Go make a shidduch Chochmah with Malchus. The Maisa geht, als man gefragt Malchus, Chochmah was dein Meiles? Chochmah gibt sagen der Meiles. Is Asviris, is Tausend, Gile in Sof is Schosser in Sof is Bechochme. Schön, ungefragt Malchus, was ist deine Meiles? Hat Malchus ihm sagen, lässt er mir gar mal Klum. Hat gesagt, Chochme, Shidduch. Was muss ich was? Die ganze Meiles, der weiß nicht deine Meiles. Hebst und sagen, deine Meiles ist Shidduch. Er hat auch eine Meise. Was ist der Meise? Aber die Kerin, die Not Seifen mit Chilosen bis Seifon, und begilo yo bat khilish v'seif shel kol selms can word more kamach fine. So the main of not lost safe one is kol selms, but it also happens in every world. So the Rebbe is going to focus over here, but the main thing at the beginning and end of the Rambam, the cash of a shaykh sima seif mishtel at kholosy who goloi ubeilit. It's revealed and it sticks out. Why? But khilsa sefer case of the Rambam, beginning of the sefer the Rambam writes leida sheyesham motzu yidishin, to know that there is a first existence. Hain, which means shachiv, the obligation who laid rak lahaimin ba'avaya, not just to believe in the Eibishter, ela leida, to know it, be idea sichlis, the intellectual understanding. And belief is not enough. And he brings over here Sefer HaMitzvos, writes over here in the order 5. Rei gam Sefer HaMitzvos la'asem al-sadak mitzvah amonis al-kuz and dach b'tzisecha Sefer HaBeis Shemidai came below Shana Rambam. Why? It says like this. But Sefer HaMitzvah Shal Ram Mitzvah Say Aleph Kosof Shenaimin. Aval Aleph Sefer Yad O Mishnah Achrein Lagabe Sefer HaMitzvahs. Shenichto B'ter Agdom Liyad HaChazoke. Haram Bagdamos Sefer HaMitzvah. So it's the Iker, the more Meduyik is the Sefer Yad. Secondly, he says, but Sefer HaMitzvahs Leidok HaRamam Kol Kach B'Talmud HaMitzvahs V'Dinein. B'chlal it says that the Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Ram wasn't medayik so much in the learning where we learn the mitzvahs and all the prati dinim. Fine. Gimel, Sefer HaMitzvahs Afsha She'ira Kilkul B'Milas HaToka De HaMaitik. Mashenga Sefer HaYad Shenichta B'Lashna Kedesh. Another reason he says, although in Sefer HaMitzvah the Ram it says Shenaimin, mitzvah say Aleph, but still it's a translation. So maybe something happened when they translated it. But Sefer Yad was written in Lashon HaKodesh, was written exactly the way the Rambam wanted to write it. Dal da pik savyad arvi shel Sefer HaMitzvah shenimtza ato yesh im shegam Sefer HaMitzvah shel ha'haitik leida. וכמי שהוא במין המצווה שבריש היד, די ספר מצווה זיצוע זרע חלר ורי קפח. Fine. ומקום אחר נסבר שמכיר דה רמב"ם, לידה הוא מזר, it's got from a zera, that you have to say לידה. He says, פיקוד הדור קדמו לכל פיקודין, וידעתם כני הווי, that you have to know the Eibishter. Fine. בקש ושייך עושים הספר משתה, yeah, fine. תחיל ספר כזה, yeah. ובאיזה עניין, this עניין of knowing the Eibishter, די הסווי הוא גם חסימס הספר. So the end of the Rambam is also the עניין of Yediyas Elokus. He brings here the Chasimus HaSefer of also the Sefer Hamada, as he brings in order 6. Uvinyin zeh gam siyum v'cheis v'shel Sefer Hamada, like we said before, that every Sefer has connected the beginning and the end. L'hovin l'haskal b'chochum s'tfunis ha'medim le'eskenik m'shbarana b'chel say that there, Sefer Kid Mechel Tshuva, fine. Asher, what's the end of the Rambam? The whole Rambam, he says, Asher be'esi hazman, yimei samshich, yikaimu mitzvah zu b'shlemusa. We'll do this mitzvah of Leida Sheyesh HaMotzei in the ultimate. Because then when Mashiach comes, Yisrael Chacham Gdelim, Yasigu Da'as Beiram, will be great scholars, be great understanders, and will be able to understand the Eibishter Kfikei Chodam. Molo Oretz Deis Havai Kamam Lemachazim. Fine. The Kish is at the Sima Sefer Atchalos later, but Techna Klol Shalom Adurba, this connection at the end of the Sefer of the Rambam in the beginning is not just in the general Techna of the what's spoken in both of them, Deis Havaya. We should know the Eibishter, Elagam Protein of what we should know. A protein, boy, Fanim, Deis Havaya, and more in the Chasimus HaSefer, the details that it says in the end of the Sefer, Yediyas Dvar Mastum, we should know the hidden things. So as that's being Kfikei Chodam Chayitzav is all these details that the Rambam enumerates in the end of the Rambam, Chena Protein B'Simus idea. Why we come to it? Because Beis says, man, lay yisham leirov, won't be hungry, therefore we'll be able to be wise. There's nothing going to stop us from doing what we have to. They all go the same vein as with the details and the ways of knowledge that he explains in the beginning of the Rambam, that he say this, lay the Shesha Motzei Rishon. Like he'll explain it later in great length. Many details about the time of Mashiach is mentioned also in Hilchos Tshuva. There's many differences between the end of the Rambam and Hilchos Tshuva, as mentioned by the Siyum. Yeah. Also, these differences will be understood when we'll explain the end of the Rambam, in continuation to explain the beginning of the Sefer. So then we'll be able to go to explain the differences between Siyum of the Rambam and Hilchos Tshuva when we get to Mashiach. Says the Rebbe, we'll explain it, we'll divide it in 3 parts of this explanation. Aleph, first we'll explain the first halachos of the Rambam. Beis, Siyum Sefer Yad. Then we'll explain the end of the Rambam, mainly in the part which connects with the difference, which connect with the differences from Hilchos Tshuva. And the Gimel bir b'sim v'chesim shel Sefer Hayad, b'kish Sima Sefer Atchalos, to explain the end and the connection, the end of the Rambam and the beginning of the Rambam. Fine. Said the Rebbe starts the Sikh. Kosva Rambam Tchil Sefer Hayad, B'zel Sheni. Yesodis v'amud ha'chochmas leida sheyesh shom motzei rishon. That's Lashon Rambam. And not just that, we should also understand, we should know who mamtzik kol nimtza. And more than that, v'chol nimtzoyim v'shamayim v'oretz v'masha b'neihem le'nimtzu elo mi'amitas imotzei. Where does everything come from? From amitz imotzei. Fine. V'nei kol inyon shem sefer yad him halochas. All the inyanim which come in the Rambam are halachas, which goes back to the Sefer. That he's making a Sefer halachas. Umizeh shegam ha'inyan. Also this concept, the lay that sheyesh motzei shemacholo, who you say that he says amud ha'chochmas, to know that there's a Eibishter, and to know this is a you say this in amud ha'chochmas, to know this is also because the Rambam lebak the mosel sifri kim besifri gufa who halacha. fact that the Rambam didn't write it in the introduction to the Sefer. He put it into the Sefer itself is mashma that this is halacha. To know that it's a Yiseda, he says, Amud HaChochmos, Leida Sheshem Otzerishin, this is a halacha. Why is it? So lahavin. We have to understand this. Ha'idiyah Sheshem Otzerishin, he said Kol HaTeirah. This is the foundation of the whole Teirah. Ki im leis amis mitzius Hashem, leiti amona b'Teirah. If there's no belief in the being of Eibishter, they won't believe in the Teirah. It's impossible to believe in Teirah if there's no belief in the Eibishter. Kaposhet. Aval halacha in Yonah psak din anegeh lepeil. But halacha means something which you have to know what to do. Umashach lemer being anal sheidizu he say true halacha. How can you say this is halacha? It's not telling me what to do. It's a foundation before the halachas of Teirah. Before Teirah, we have to have the idea and the Eibishter. But it's not a halacha what to do now. What? Yeah, al derech. It's al derech. There he answers that the mitzvah someone is a deeper recognition of the Eibishter, the more than what we had before the mitzvah. But here he's asking to know that there is existence of the Eibishter, and to know that it's a foundation. Why is that a halacha? You could tell me that I have to believe in the Eibishter is one thing, but you tell me that you should know this is a foundation. And this is a halacha to know that it's a foundation. Why is the halacha to know that it's a foundation? It's true, it's the foundation, but the question is, what's the halacha that it's a foundation? Or like you're saying that you had to know about it before you came to learning the Rambam. So what did the Rambam have to tell to us? So the this knowledge that we know that this is the foundation, there's an nafkamina l'maisa. Why? Since the fact to know that the Eibishter's first existence, the Motzirish, we'll call it. And this is a foundation to all the Teirah. Is a mechayev shas chol b'limud ha'teirah tzrichlis bein zadavke. So this is what the Ram is telling us. The first thing to learn is this inyan, because this is the foundation to everything else. And that's why that's the halacha l'maisa, so to speak, that we have to start learning this inyan. And like the Ram Taka did, he put it first. The Chain also, another thing is, if someone asks a question, the foundation, you have to answer them first before other things. That's what you could say. But this explanation is not good enough. Why? Because you say that because according to this, that they say that to learn a foundation of Teirah, we have to learn it before learning any other halachas in Teirah. It's true not only in regard to the first halachas of halacha Aleph and Vav, from halacha Aleph till Vav, Shebepedek Harishin, Kim Gam and Negel Chol Hilchas Yisei Teirah. It's true also to all the halachas of Yisei Teirah that it comes first. And it didn't. The Rambam did not write about everything. It's Yisei it's Amud HaChochmos. Only about these 5, 6 halachas. And the Rebbe says it's true regarding to all the hilchos of Yisei Teirah. Was a move and Gami Seder Halach Shabbat. The proof to this is from the Seder and the halachas in Rambam. Sherivad Shemdui Gam Seder Halach Shabbat. Certainly, it's also exact halachas the Seder of the halachas in Rambam. Akapon Meil Shem Beisa Sefer Mis Arbos Esra Sforim Chalkei Yad HaChazok. At least. What is he saying? Those halachas, they're in the same sefer from the 14 svarim of. You have to learn in order. At least that sefer you have to learn in order. Yeah, that's what he's saying. Bereisha Barishena, you should learn halachas Harishenis Hamadabras b'Metzius Hashem. Sure, you say l'chola you say this. La'achar we have to learn Shar Hilchos Yisei Teirah. B'hem guf v'tchila alimut tzarich b'yonei abro prokim Harishenim shekein meis pardes. V'achar kach halachos shelachareim, because they're all halachos Yisei Teirah, and this is going to be the seder, and this kufa is going to be also orderly according to what the Rambam wrote them. Ba'afal pikein. if you're going to say, this is what the Rambam is trying to tell us, we have to learn this first and we have to answer this first. If so, he doesn't stress that you have to learn it first. If this is what he's saying, that they say is to tell me that this is what I have to learn first, let him say it about all the halachos of the Seder HaTorah, that you have to know it's first. And he doesn't write again and again that this is a Yesed, this is also Yesed in the Bavarans in the order. Over here, besides by Nevuah, he says Yesed Hadas, to tell me that it's a foundation. But in general, the Ram doesn't say it. More so the Rebbe asks, what are people doing? This is not the way people learn. So we don't see that we learn this first. A kid in Cheder, we don't learn it first. He says Zamud HaChochmos. Also, we have to learn and understand many details in the Lashon of the Rambam, which is very exact. Mehem. Should we learn 6? It's fine. Let's go right. Mehem. Kavanose by Yeseides v'Chochmes are bevadli Yeseides v'Chochmes shebeteira. When the Rambam writes Yeseides v'Amud HaChochmes, it's certainly referring to the Yeseides and Chochmes of Teira. The Tzarech Lahavin, so we have to understand Mayna Yeseides and Mayna Chochmes. What are the Yeseides and what are the Chochmes? What is he referring to? Aleph. Beis Benegeli Yeseides Nakat Aloshin Yeseida Yeseides. Regarding to Yeseides, the Rambam wrote, it's the foundation of the foundations. When the Gela Chochmas, he writes, Va'amud HaChochmas, it's a pillar for the Chochmas. Why that difference? Beis, Tevas Motzoi, Techna Rak, Sheyeshne Eze Metzies. When you say the word Motzoi, it just tells me that there is some Metzies. Havayne Media Kol Prat doesn't tell me anything about him. Ma'u Mihi Metzizu. What it is and who it is doesn't tell me anything about him. Be'inimut, Harachiv Uleida Sheshalaka. The Chiv in Rambam, he writes in Sefer HaMitzvos, is to know that there's a God. Can for me na mitzvah fnei atchol sapek shkam zamir Rambam. Im kein have l'lemeimar leid shesh shamaleka. V'yash b'chal masay man shu motzi. Of course, we know that he exists. B'frat lo shu motzi shagam negel anevroim. Motzi could say also when you get creation. Tosh Rambam some walom chagimol, like the Rambam writes himself in Allah chagimol. She'ein kol nemtzoyim l'vadim mitzuyim chulu. That if you think that anything besides was not motzi. So use the Lashon Motzi in regard to the Mitzvahim, to the creations. So if so, had the Kush L'Duchta, why? Or the Kush is Bimkeme, why is it that he uses the Lashon? You should know the Eibishter uses the Lashon Motzi. That's one question. Second question. Third question. So after he says that this Motzi created every creation, my Moisif, v'kamash balon, what is he adding? What is he letting us hear? Bad Goshose, to tell us, to stress, Shohu, that this Motzi is Rishon, the first one. Obviously. More so, Rishon is a problematic. Besides that, it's extra, it's problematic. Rishon made a Shadovra Nikra Kein Hu Nimne V'Shayich Ladvorim Aboim Achrav. When you say something is Rishon, show that it has a connection and it's counted and has a Shayich, the things coming afterwards. Kosher. The Rambam himself writes that Allah Gimel Shagam Kasher Kol Imtzayim Levadi Lo Yiyu Mitzuyim, even if everything besides the Eibusha will not exist, Hu Levadi Yimotziv Leivot Hu Levitulum Chulu. It won't be bot Chaz v'Sholom. So he's not a first to the others. He's not first of the many. But Leiz Levad Al Shal Kol Imtzayim Ein Lem Dimyon LaBeiris, but they have nothing in compared to the Eibusha. K'mi Shemar Charam Balach Zayim B'Chesem Chaz Dvar B'Rayim HaKosov Al Mit Adam Yoni V'Eshve. You cannot compare me to anything. How is it possible to say the expression Rishon? He's not a first. He's not another in comparison to anything else coming after him. That's the questions. Firstly, what's the Yiseides Chochmes? Why does he say this? He says Amud HaChochmes. Also, what's Pshat Motzui? Why do you say who he is? And also, why do you have to say Rishon? If you know Mamtzi Kolim, of course you know Rishon, especially Rishon doesn't do justice, it's Feket, it's the Ket of the whole Kavanah, and the Eibusha is nothing compared to him, how can you call him Rishon? Right, so the Rebbe goes to the second halach in Rambam. ממשיך הרמב"ם בהלכה בייס וזה לשני. ואם יעלה לדעת שהוא איני מוציא, איני דבר אחר יכול למוצס. If someone will come up on his mind that the Eibshe doesn't exist, is not a motzi, ein davar acher yochel imotzes, nothing else could exist. But tzorch lahav, ma mechadish b'zeh. L'achri kosi b'alocha hal shekol nimtzein le'nimtzu elo me'amitzi motzei, hari l'chur ein kol teis hefes v'chidish b'zeh she'imem she'mebilad mitzius yizbarech, ein davar acher yochel imotzes. He said that everything comes from him. It's obvious that if he's not here, nothing else will be here. Nothing else will be in existence. Yeah. Beis. Maya kavon barichs l'sheine v'im yala ladas. Why is the Rambam write v'im yala ladas? Avalem kaman al chazay mikitzer b'pashus v'im v'ilu hu ein emotzi chulu. Why do you have to say v'im yala ladas? Mashma it's ilu in das. Barbenel Kos, Ritzcha Barbenel Kos, was the Shein features the dover medume, the ein, the dover of shori, the Chen Amarav, im Yala Lada Shein Mots, because the dover that may hodam, it's just impossible to happen. It's just the imaginary. The person could imagine it, but it's not. That's a Yala Ladas. So the Rebbe ain't moving. Come on, Ba'aloch Zayin case of a Rambam, Ilo Hoya Lokus Harbi, Bilo Hoya Yetzer Gufu Gviyeh, Varigam dover Zeh dover medume, vein dover of shori. It's impossible to be many gods. Positive should be a body. In the case of Yaladas, can be ilu. So if here also could have said be ilu. One kash of Nabar. Second question, base. Even if you want to make a differentiation between the two halachas, Zayin and base. You want to say that if think to have a conspiracy of Eine Mosi is more upgefragt than the conspiracy of Elokus Harbe and Gufu Gviyeh, Adain in the movement. Loshna Ramami B'tach Zadik B'chol Teve. Every single word is exact. Okay, Maya Harichos V'im Yala Aladas. Nog Bloshim K'tzorek F'fi Avarbenel Gam Meduyak Es Yesa V'im Yidame V'keitze B'zeh. Gimel, fragt the Rebbe. Another question, Ma'asher Kosov. Shehu eini motzi. The Churav lekatz v'leim is she eini motzi. Ma'im kamash mon tevis hu. What's the chiddush of the word hu? It's so medui. It's the half is cushion the answer. Every exact nuance. Yeah. Says the Rebbe in Eis Dal. V'abir b'chol hanal. Yuven. B'hagdim atmiyeh b'chlolus hilchus yisei datir. It's a general to me in the hilchus yisei datir. Pirish Mishnayis and Hadin Perikhe, case of Rambam, Sheikir Doseinu V'Yisedus Im Shleish also Yisedus. The Rambam writes in Pirish Mishnayis that Ikir of our religion and the foundations is 13 foundations. Fartam. He goes into detail to say it. When it comes to Hilchus Seder Teire, which the Chura also you say that the foundation of the Teire, it doesn't say all of them. For example, be a Mashiach, Tchis HaMesim doesn't say it. It brings the Reish Hamana brings the question. Let's learn the order 15. It's an interesting one over here. The Reish Hamana Perikites Kosa, B'Sefer Mishnah Teir Lehoisek Avanos Sekim Levan HaMitzvahs. Yehinim Kei Me'akoishi Sheyaskir B'Lvad Esim HaYised Shesh B'Chol HaMitzvahs. That's what he wants to say. The Eine movement, the Rebbe slugs him up. It's not understood to say this. So it's yeah, according to the Rambam. He came long, he should say that he made some Mashiach. So why couldn't he mention and he say that the in of Mashiach? Say that he doesn't mention that. The Rebbe is over here, he made some Mashiach. The Rambam doesn't say that in Hilchos Melachim. He doesn't, he asks Bechlal, why doesn't he mention these things? He said the Reish Hamana has the answer. In Chanamis, he said the same, he answers in regard to both. So the Rebbe says it's not an answer for Yemei Mashiach. Everything is halacha. The fact that it's a foundation in Torah is not just because it's a foundation of the Torah. It's a foundation of the Torah in regard to halacha. The Torah can't take ne lepe puli der Reisvikates kim halachas ha-Torah. Torah mloshon hira. When he says you say the ha-Torah, means not the pulpulim of Torah. It's you say the of halachas of Torah. That's Torah's mloshon hira, mloshon halacha. Bakavona be you say the ha-Torah, yeah, you say the shal halachas within ha-Torah. When the Rambam writes, this is the Yesed of the of Torah. You say the Torah means the halachas. You say the halachas of Torah. Lechein lehevi Rambam behilchos. You say the Torah kama. You say the shemini mitgim leikrim shalei. Now we understand why the Rambam did not mention in hilchos. You say the Torah. Many of these Yeseds which he mentioned in the gim leikrim. Avsh kamem k'mibi some shechem halachas. It's halachas. Shalchem mevim b'sefer hayad. Avalei behilchos you say the Torah, but he doesn't bring hilchos say the Torah. Why? You say this Elohim, you say the Adas Vater, but moving closely in general, it is a foundation of Torah. Therefore, in the Perkam Pishmish he brought it, yeah. Halachas b'fnei atzanein. Aval enim you say this shall call halachas Torah. It's not as you say it in all the halachas of the Torah. Now, to tell a person what to do and everything, it's not how you say. He's going to explain. He brings in a very interesting word, 17. Time zel nichlo say kol hamitzvos shebesefer Ramad af shemi kedas meisher ben olav shol. So he should put the whole sefer Ramad and he'll say that Torah. He kedas meisher ben olav shol, like he says in the Akdama, in the before. And when he preaches l'chalik sefer yeah, because it's not the yesed, it's not a yesed. It's ikar das, it's ikar das. It's not a yesed. He's going to explain here what's a yesed in halachas. What does this mean? What's the pshat of a yesed in halacha? V'hine, kol halacha. What's a halacha? Is this? Kol halacha sheyeches rak b'im yesh b'signa yidu chefetz. When is the possibility to have a halacha? You have an object. Signa halacha machrichem metzias chefetz shelo. If you have a halacha, there must be that is already existent the chefetz what to do the halacha. So at least a chefetz did film. In order to have hilchos tefillin, there has to be tefillin. So at least it sees the seichel v'das odom v'oz ba'aloch the hagavra odom so leistes be'achefetz. Let's go in our halacha of this specific first halacha in Rambam. You have to first have the seichel odom. Then comes the gavra has to, what should he do with this chefetz? To think with his mind till he knows clearly that there's a motzir rishon. Signa going to Ragat Shaveh Pratis Yeser yesh peil pul chiyuvus ishlilus v'nifel. There's the person, there's what he does, and there's what he accomplishes. This is dividing it into more. There's first he starts saying there's a chefetz. Then he says there's a chefetz and a gavra. Yeah, what the gavra has to do with the chefetz. Then he says even more in detailed. There's the person, and there's the what he does, and the outcome of what he does. Like the Rebbe speaks about Mila, there's the Mila, and then there's Mol, there's any oral. There's the Pula, there's the Pale, and the Nifel, there is any oral. This is going to take us on a long ride. No, don't worry, it's time. This is the Kudus over here is going to get to the Loshna Chassidus soon. Besignon acher obey sof. Kol halacha bedin Torah eino kihinyonim shebeteira shebesug yagul Torah v'yade. If there's a halacha in Torah, it's not like the other inyonim which is in yagul Torah v'yade. She'ein b'meiron isefes. When you come to yagul Torah v'yade, you say another pilpul, it doesn't get a new lesson in what to do. As opposed to halacha is kiim. What is it? Psak din chodesh b'negei l'dover mesuyim. Sha'adover tzorich lis be'efen zeh dafke. Halacha in Torah means a new psak din regarding to something specific that it has to be dafk in this way. What's the difference when you say such a thing or such a shita? There has to be a difference in Pel Mamish. Chidush u'pula shinui ba'advarim shebe'elam sheyiyu kfi eiras haTorah. There's a change, a transformation in the worldly matters, in the worldly things, that they should be like Torah wants it to be. Now the Rebbe is going to explain it even more. Hainu sheteichen kol halacha kofel. Every halacha is a double impact. Pula chiyuvis, there's a how do you say chiyuvi? Positive impact. Shadvarim shebe'elam yiyu kfi dinei haTorah, that the things in the world should be like Torah wants it to be. Now we're speaking in the case of the person should know you should know that there's a Eibishter. Then there's pula shlilis, there's the negative impact. He shouldn't be in the situation what he was before this mitzvah, before this halacha, which is he shouldn't be like he was before he thought about the Eibishter. He came to this recognition. Let's learn R21. Harambam Sefichas Chaneke shekol haTorah nitna l'aseh shalom ba'olam. The whole Torah is made to make shalom in the world. Shasiyah shalom shagdavki kshesh ged machlekes. When can you have shalom? When there's machlekes. What's pshat l'aseh shalom ba'olam? Kim tziyus elam kim shimtzad atzmo. He betzura kazu she'eina masim lo yiras Hashem. In the elam mitzad atzmei before Torah is in such a form that it's not befitting to what the Eibishter wants from it. Can never all of ashabar lakim lasis l'sakin l'mal sachoser l'sakin. When the person learns Torah and does what Torah wants from him, he completes the world and he makes peace in the world. Yeah. He's going to come to say what he just said here, really, also. He's going to say Mustama stronger. But over here, he already said it, that every mitzvah says two things. First of all, it should be positively the way Torah wants him, and he should not be the way he would be without the Torah. Dugma zeh b'chlolus ha'halachas ha'mitzvahs. This dugma for this idea in all the mitzvahs and all the halachas is mitzvahs asay v'inyonom shemitzis odom ve'elam tiyeh k'eiras haTorah. Mitzvahs asay is to tell the person how to be like Torah wants him to be. Mitzvahs leisas, when it comes to mitzvahs v'inyonim, is shaleiti mitzvahs shemanig leiras haTorah. There should not be a mitzvah that's opposite and negating and anti, so to speak, to the lessons of the Torah. Even the mitzvahs say themselves, you have these two concepts of esa and leisas. To be what Torah wants and not to be what Torah doesn't want. He's going to explain it much more.
You don't have esa.
You're doing leisas, basically. That's something else. But he's going to say it. I think he says it's stronger even.
So there's a leisas in esa.
Yeah. Every S has a leisas.
You do what you want. You did what he doesn't want.
Yeah, if it stays in his previous state, it's negating, it's going against Torah, yeah? But he's going to explain it strongly later. Yeah, well, this is the Nakuda, yeah. For some reason, he's sending it to Sif Zayin the whole time. Okay. Pize Yumtak, Mash Omer Azal. Now we'll understand, will be Yumtak. Chazal tell us, we heard the first two dibris, this week's parsha, from the Eibishter. Why is it? The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, this is the general, this is including within himself the whole Torah. Like the Alter Rebbe explains by Riches. Hadibur le'yilecha im yese kel kol shtam mitzleise ein ele klal neve me hadibur nei chavay lekecha. The Rebbe asks a question. The dibur of le'yilecha, although it's clear all the shtam mitzleise not to go against Hashem, but it's an outcome of the dibur nei chavay lekecha. That what? Achrei yidish yeshem lekam motzi shemen nimtzu kol nimtzoim. When a person knows that there's a Eibishter, he's the source of all creatures. Automatically a person will come to recognize and understand that he should not have another God. When I'm here, don't let anything, which means forever, for eternity. If so, the klal of all the whole Torah, the foundation of all the mitzvahs is Anechi. Why do we hear also Yilcham Piyak Vore? More so, since the Eibishter is only one, so the Eibishter is one, is mitzvahs, the nekud of all the mitzvahs, the klal of the mitzvahs is one. How can you say that in the klal of the Torah there's two concepts? It should be matching to its maker. Everything makes like they are. He says the mitzvah Torah canal sefachas achas lifol be'elam shi'al pi eros haTorah. It's one thing. It's one thing. The foundation, the yesod of all mitzvahs of the Torah is one. That there should be according to what the Eibishter wants it should be, according to the eros of the Torah. Says before coming to Anech Li'ilcha, one thing is that everything should be the way the Eibishter wants. But how does this happen? Why they stay pu'ulis? You have to do two acts. Pull a chiyuv is a positive act. Pull a shlius is a negative act. Therefore, we heard from the Eibishter two things, because the way it happens is by doing two acts, two pu'ulis. This is part of the klal. The klal of the Torah is that they should negate a mitzvah, which is not the way the Eibishter wants.
You don't know it from Anechi.
Anechi is this. Anechi and Li'ilcha are two pratim how to do the nekuda that everything should be like the Eibishter wants. One is it should be like the Eibishter wants, and it should not be like the Eibishter doesn't want. This is Anechi and Li'ilcha are both pu'ulis. Kivyochel, there's a nekuda, everything should be the Eibishter wants, and this guf is divided into two. I hear you asking.
The question is probably the answer. Yeah.
Says Anechi and Leah are equal?
Yeah.
No, it's not what he said before.
And before is mashmas nishtazeh. And then the Le'ilcha is only al paneh because the Eibishter exists, therefore you come to the conclusion. But now he says no. And because everything should be like the Eibishter wants. How do I do it?
That's before Anechi.
That's before. It's mashmazeh, yeah.
It's before Anechi.
Yeah, zeh yilchura. And how do I do it? Believing in the Eibishter and not believing in the Eibishter.
So Sai Anechi, Sai Le'ilcha are both
It's pratim, it's pulis. Yeah.
Which is?
That everything should be like the Eibishter wants. And he's saying how to do it. It's ways to do it.
So Sesatibay starts right away with how to do.
Yeah.
Where's the before Sesatibay? The Anechi and Le'ilcha are two ways to
there's
do
the Asaid, and then there's the Asaid. I don't know. I think this is what he's saying, that there's one nekuda, everything should be like the Eibishter wants, and that happens by two things. I don't know if it's first and then after. It's this itself, this message itself comes in two stages, two forms. Should be like this and should not be the opposite. And the Torah is interested in having both things happen. Side should be like the way Eibishter wants, and side should not be. That's the effect of Torah. Torah wants it should be the way the Eibishter wants, and it should not be not the way the Eibishter wants. Yeah. Therefore, is the Nechli Chashon. But the question is half the question.
Yeah.
Then he didn't really answer as strongly as the question. Yeah. But he wants to. Yeah, later he's going to say that Bahamas, even every mitzvah say also has the Indian, not just mitzvah. So mitzvah. The shadow of the shvedder. Okay, we'll stop here. It's 9:40. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Okay, good. All right.